What's up guys, Ruppy here, and welcome to week 3 of the UNPL's 4th season. Somehow our Columbus Swoo have kicked our season off with a 2-0 record, and not gonna lie, it feels weird, but in a good way, sitting atop the Naranja division after last year's meltdown. I have a feeling that is probably going to change this week, unfortunately, but who knows? On paper, this feels like a matchup that is going to go very poorly for me, but that was also the case last week, and somehow we managed to get out of it with a win, so who knows? Maybe we'll see how it plays out. But I have good reason to be concerned this week. For week 3 of the UNPL, we are playing the Illustrious Aurorus, coached by Hopeless, the winner of last year's BBR Summer Scramble. So I have reason to be concerned based on that alone. But when we get into his team, you'll see even more so why I am deeply concerned here, because his team is absolutely terrifying. As we go ahead and leave behind the chilling cold that my team is warming up in, and flip on over to Showdown for our Teambuilder, our chalkboard. His roster will be appearing off to the right, and it is as follows: Chien-Pao, Spectrier, Necrozma, Illustrious, Quacklevolt, Shaman, Tinkaton, Quillfish, Mischievous, and Greedent. Let's address the obvious first. All of us in the Naranja division should be ashamed of ourselves for allowing him to draft both Chien-Pao and Spectrier, because this combination is absolutely disgusting. And these two in particular have been the biggest reason why prepping for this game has been a monumental headache. I'm going to be upfront. I have very little that reliably handles both Chien-Pao and Spectrier. In terms of raw offensive power, they cover each other so well. I had issues with Chien-Pao with my roster last season. Spectrier ended up being not as big of an issue because I happen to have a Ditto on my roster. No such luck this time around, though. Even ignoring that, he has Necrozma, which can do quite a few things, actually. Illustrious, which, very solid rocker, very solid offensive mon, very solid pivot. Quacklevolt is a very nasty spinner that is capable of getting out of control really quickly with Moxie boosts. I should probably address his Terra Captains as well, real quick. His Shaman can Terrasilize into a Grass, Fairy, or Electric type. His Mischievous can Terrasilize into a Ghost, Fairy, or Electric type. And Greedent can Terrasilize into a normal, Ground, or Steel type. Not bad Terra Captains in all honesty. Mischievous, believe it or not, actually looks like it might be a problem for me on paper, as weird as that is to say about a Mischievous, a 1-point Terra Captain. That is because my team does have a bit of a ghost weakness that had become a little apparent to me in my prep. More so for Spectrier, though, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mischievous comes as well, because, at least from a defensive standpoint, Mischievous actually takes on my team a little better than Spectrier does in that regard. Spectrier is easier to snowball. Mischievous is easier for just grinding me down, so if he wants to bring one of the two, or both, I wouldn't be surprised. Shaman is also a very solid Terra Captain that can do so many things. Not sure if it's gonna come in considering my pseudo-sun team or not. But if he does Terra away from grass, then I think it handles my team a lot easier. There was a lot about this roster that I honestly hate. And again, I was left with no end of headaches in prep because of it. I'm gonna be upfront. Just like with last week, I am not the most confident in my prep for this. But we are going to proceed anyway because I'm kind of out of time in terms of building, and this needs to go. So we will see if it works out. I think I've got some interesting plans here that might be able to make this work. And it starts off with Warforged the Scissor, who is honestly probably my best bet at handling this team. I've got something really interesting in the works here. A purely defensive Choice Band set. With Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Dual Wing Beat, and Knockoff. Dual Wing Beat, I consider close combat, but honestly, the things that close combat would really be hitting are already pretty much dealt with by Bullet Punch, aside from maybe Greedent, but I think I can chip Greedent down and go from there regardless with Warforged or other Mons. Dual Wing Beat is mostly there, so I have a reliable means of hitting Shaman more than anything else. Not to mention it's just good overall Technician boosted hit that should hopefully put in some work for me. But the primary purpose behind the set is the Choice Band gives me the power I am not otherwise running to still basically completely threaten Chien-Pao with a bullet punch and rip it apart and hopefully OHKO it if that matchup does come, while also still taking a huge chunk at everything else. Otherwise, Warforged is here to eat hits and fire back, basically. Fairly simple, fairly interesting idea. We'll see if it works out. Next up is Wrath the Gyarados. I am running Assault Vest this week. Bulky Assault Vest Gyarados. The 8 speedy EVs are really there just to round it out to an even 200, just in case of speed creeping from his slower things. Waterfall, Earthquake, and Crunch kind of feel like the primary coverage I really need. I'm also running Terra Flying and Terra Blast. Mostly just, again, to have the Flying Stab for the Shaman, because otherwise Shaman actually kind of walls this set. But ultimately, this set, with Intimidate and the Assault Vest, is able to hopefully deal with both Chien-Pao and Spectrier, at least the former if I don't Terra yet, because then Ice attacks are neutral against me. To be able to hopefully eat their hits and wear them down considerably. That is the hope anyway. A lot of this is built on... This team is basically held together by duct tape and prayers in this matchup. I'm going to be up front. Next is Furnace the Torkoal. I am not bringing Sun this time. I am bringing a Shell Armor Torkoal, actually. Purely just to avoid the critical hits, because Torkoal could actually handle Chien-Pao fairly well, in all honesty. Boots are there in case he wants to set up hazards, because he does have a number of hazard setters. Flamethrower, Rapid Spin, Yawn, and Stealth Rock is the set, so I can set my own rocks up, spin his away if necessary. Yawn to try to force him to switch, so with any luck I can keep some of these mons from being able to set up unless he wants them to go to sleep. And Flamethrower is there, so I have Stab to hit things with. Obviously there's some mons it's barely going to touch, but it's good to at least have an offensive option here, so Torkoal isn't completely passive. Now we move on to Lumity, the Iron Valiant. Lumity is one of the two mons I am hoping will basically be my pure offensive force in this game to hopefully turn the tables and keep things in my favor as best I can. I'm running a Scarf set with Moonblast, Close Combat, Knockoff, and Destiny Bond. 128 speed with a Naive Nature, I believe. Yeah, Naive Nature. That speed investment is meant to always outrun a Timid Max Speed Shaman, regardless of what it terras into. And obviously also outrun Chien-Pao and Spectrier as well. Maybe I should have pumped more speed into it for a potential modest Scarf Spectrier, because I wouldn't be surprised if Scarf Spectrier comes. But I mean, I'm also trying to give myself a bit of bulk here to be able to take on mostly Chien-Pao, among other things. Maybe a physically offensive Necrozma as well, Quaquaval, those kinds of things. But the spread should hopefully work to be able to try to put some holes in his team. Moonblast and Close Combat as Stab pretty much cover just about everything. Knockoff threatens Spectrier. Destiny Bond is there as a last resort in case I need to sacrifice Lumity, kind of like they did last week, as much as I really hate saying that. Against something that is getting out of hand, with Scarf I can hopefully go first, get the Destiny Bond off, and take something out of the equation with it. Next is Powerline the Electros, and I mean, it's a tried and true set that has done so much work for me, why not kind of stick with it, that being my Assault Vest set. Discharge, U-Turn, Knockoff, and Flamethrower is the call this time. Flamethrower again, so I have an option to hit Shaman, so I'm not completely walled by it. I know U-Turn hits it hard as well, but it also kind of works for the Tinkaton and a potential Terra Steel Greedent as well. But Discharge is there to hopefully paralyze things. If I could paralyze Spectrier, that would be Oh, that would help so much. And last but not least is Choice Scarf Mamoswine. I'm running dual Scarfers this week. I flip-flop back and forth between Thick Fat and Oblivious for the ability, because Landorus does have the capability of Intimidate, which Oblivious actually makes you immune to now in 9th gen. But ultimately, Thick Fat was the play, because honestly, an Icicle Crash is still obliterating Landorus Therian from this Mamoswine, even after an Intimidate. And I need the Thick Fat to be able to better handle whatever Chien-Pao is hopefully going to throw at me. Icicle Crash, Earthquake Knockoff, and Heavy Slam is the play. Heavy Slam being primarily for a potential Terra Fairy Shaman or Mischievous. More so the latter. The 204 speed with a Jolly Nature is basically meant to outrun a Jolly Max Speed Chien-Pao that is not Scarfed, just to try to have something. Iron Valley and Mamoswine are basically my Scarfers with the purpose of trying to break this team and put the momentum in my favor for as long as I can hold it, and hopefully put him in a position where, at least on the defensive end from his perspective, maybe kind of take away a lot of his options with unexpected, fast, powerful hits to hopefully better my chances of somehow getting out of this with a 3-0 record. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to be up front right now. But as we go ahead and flip back over to the locker room, I'm hopeful. I did the best I could against a team that is very much going to destroy me on paper. So anything I can get out of this that is not as horrifying a defeat, or if I can somehow pull this off, we'll see how it goes. This has been a very stressful matchup, and I guess however it plays out, I'm glad I got it out of the way now. So, I will go ahead and see you guys when it's battle time. Alright, it's battle time. Let's see what I'm up against today, and if we can somehow pull this out to keep our undefeated ways alive. So we got Misdreavus, Necrozma, Spectrier, Chien-Pao, Landorus T, and Tinkaton. So just looking at this, no Quillfish is actually... No Shaman and no Quillfish is a bit of a load off my mind, because I was a little concerned about being able to really damage Shaman. Misdreavus actually to some degree doesn't surprise me. Quillfish is a little surprising though. Looking at this, I honestly think I'm going to lead Warforged. See how he wants to start this. Maybe just U-turn out, get some nice damage off on something, and just go from there. Chien-Pao and Spectrier are no surprise. Lando's somewhat no surprise. This team, really, any combination Hopeless could have brought, and it would have been a threat to me. Regardless, good luck, have fun, Hopeless. Hopefully this match is not as hopeless to me. As he leads with the Tinkaton. Fair enough. Not a matchup I necessarily wanted to see, but it's one I'm not going to argue with. The thing definitely outspeeds me. I would not be surprised if it goes for a knockoff, which would kind of suck given what I'm playing with here. I'm just gonna go ahead and Bullet Punch anyway, just to get some big damage off on this thing. Not a bad chunk. Just goes for rocks. That is completely fine. I can go ahead and bring in, well, I'm banded, so I'm locked in, so we're just gonna go for this, keep chunking away at Tinkaton. He switches out into Lando, I want to presume. Yep. That is no surprise to me. Given the Intimidate, I feel like you're a more offensive Landorus based on that damage. Maybe Scarf? I wouldn't be surprised if he U-turns out, honestly. And part of me is tempted to leave Warforged in for that reason. Just take this thing down another notch. Yeah, I'm going to stay in a Bullet Punch, get more damage off from this thing. Wear it down even further. As I pop a Berry. Citrus. Interesting. As he does, in fact, just U-turn out. So, Citrus Berry is interesting, and popping that early is actually kind of nice. Especially knowing that thing no longer has an item to worry about. So, I'm pretty sure he definitely did not expect me to actually keep Scissor in there. As Necrozma now comes in, and this thing's a problem, because there are so many things this thing can do, and I don't know what exactly it's planning on. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Heat Wave, honestly. I think I'm willing to go into Power Line. We'll see how this one goes, because Power Line's AV, the tried and true tested set that apparently defies the game's physics, and he just goes for Heat Wave, which is perfectly fine with me. I'm gonna go ahead and knock off something here. If this thing wants to stay in and lose its item, it can be my guest. He's gonna go ahead and get out of here. So something is losing its item. Nope, never mind. Landorus is going to come in, which is going to intimidate. Not going to take much from this because it's already lost its item, but that is fine. I don't think this thing can really... well, it could Stone Edge. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I'm going to go ahead and U-turn out regardless, though. I can take the Stone Edge. I would prefer not to. Maybe I mean, the miss is very possible, because that's how Stone Edge just works sometimes. Which is exactly what is going to happen. Oh, Stone Edge. I think everyone can agree it is only reliable when it wants to be. So, you have Stone Edge. That is good to know. Necrozma's got Heat Wave. That is also good to know. So with Lando in here, I've got a few options. Part of me is really considering just going into... I'm really tempted to go into Mammo, because I'm almost positive I scare this thing out. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to go into Arctic, so I can scare this thing out. The thing is, I don't... would he flat switch? Or would he attempt to U-turn out, in which case I could definitely just destroy this thing with an Icicle Crash. Then again, beyond Tinkaton and maybe Chien-Pao, there's not a lot on this team that really wants to take an Icicle Crash. So I'm actually fine just going for it. As he does just switch, which is fine. Into Tinkaton. Which takes that, and... I am honestly fine going into Furnace here, actually, now. spin these rocks away, get my own up, go from there. I just realized he doesn't have Quackable either. So once I get my rocks up, they're here to stay. So out is going to come Torkoal as he just goes for Gigaton Hammer, which I know Furnace is going to be able to take. And now... You know, I would actually not be surprised if he switches into Mischievous to try to spin block. So this feels like a perfect opportunity to just get my own rocks up. And we go from here. And that is exactly what is going to happen. So Mischievous is out here. My own rocks are up and they are here to stay because no Quackable. And Lando no longer has Defog. One of the few mons that lost Defog I actually agree with. And now we reach the question of what to do with you. And honestly, I think I'm going to yawn. I don't know what this thing... Yeah, it's the only Terramon he brought. Now we're going to find out exactly what it is. I'm presuming this thing is Eviolite. And it is Terra Ghost. Huh, actually went Terra Ghost on this thing. Which is interesting, as... Okay, the Shadow Ball is definitely going to hurt a lot more now. Much more than I thought, and the defense drop too. Blah. Well, that's lovely. And that... I was at full. I know I don't have any Spadef investment on Furnace here, but... That still did quite a bit. You must be a more offensive Mischievous? Yeah, you've got to be. I guess it makes sense. My team is actually not the best equipped to deal with ghost types. So... I guess now the question becomes, how do I want to respond to this? I think I'm gonna go on the power line. As it's just gonna be a double. As he ends up going into Tinkaton. I mean, I figured as much because I did yawn, but at the same time, I didn't want to assume and risk losing Furnace. Still, this is not a bad spot to be in. I'm just going to go ahead and click Flamethrower here. Fake out. Okay. Still just going to click Flamethrower and try to take this thing out. As he goes for Foul Play, which Power Line takes. There's the Flamethrower, and that is the end of Tinkaton. Alright. Tinkaton is off the table, which is a bit of a load off my mind. Now, as soon as I can find a chance to hopefully get a spin-off, these rocks are not going to be an issue on my end of things. As out comes Mischievous again. Okay. Seeing the damage that... Well, knowing this thing is Terra Ghost and definitely more offensive. I am at 90 HP. I should be out of range of a Shadow Ball, even if... Yeah, I should be out of range of a Shadow Ball unless he's modest. AV Power Line! Coming in clutch. There goes, yep, the Eviolite. So... This thing not having Eviolite is definitely a huge load off. And... At this point... it was really meant for Spectrier, but at this point... I'm just going to click Knockoff again and let Power Line go, because I have no reason to really keep it out here now. It's taken way too much to be able to take on Spectrier, which was the main reason I brought it. So, I am willing to let it go down for that reason. It is what it is. But Mischievous no longer has its Eviolite, which in and of itself is a huge load off of my shoulders. So now the question becomes, how do I proceed from here without Powerline? Let's see. Part of me, should I go into Lumity right now? I mean, Mamo is also a potential option. We're gonna go into Lumity. Time's running out. I'm taking too long to think this whole thing through. This should still be good, though. This should still be good because I am Scarfed. I definitely outrun this thing. I'm going to go ahead and click Knockoff because it kills this thing. Or not? Huh. I know this thing doesn't have an item, but... Okay. Me over here underestimating the bulk of Mischievous. That's gonna be a highlight reel on Hopeless's side of things. Yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem. Because depending on how Chien-Pao is built to operate, Lumity is no longer a way to deal with that thing. Mischievous out here really throwing me off. I mean, to be fair, if he brought Mischievous, which I did partially expect, as Spectrier comes out now. So the way I see this, there's two scenarios here. Number one, the Spectrier is Scarfed, which actually would not surprise me. Number two, he doesn't know I'm Scarfed. And honestly, I'm willing to stay in the knockoff and make that gamble. Scarf Spectrier, I had a feeling. That does not surprise me in the slightest. Sorry I had to lose you like that, Lumity. But that confirms that. I am absolutely not surprised by that. So now the question becomes, how do I proceed from here? Knowing that the Spectrier is, in fact, +1 now. And I am... We're gonna go Wrath. Because, yeah, this thing is +1 in Scarf, but Dara is AV. So I know I can definitely take this thing on. The rocks are definitely not gonna help, but... right now, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and click Crunch. Because I have little reason not to. Because, yeah, I should be able to take... yeah, I should be able to take... I'm AV, even after rocks, I should be able to take a Shadow Ball. As Spectrier is gonna switch out, that is no surprise. And into the Lando. Which, again, also no surprise. Just gonna go ahead and crunch this thing. I can take a Stone Edge. I would really rather not. That's assuming he hits it again, though. That's assuming he hits it. We're gonna go Warforged. I kind of need to preserve Wrath as best as I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get rid of these rocks, but having them up on his side at least makes it even. So, I feel comfortable making this play as he does go for the Stone Edge, does hit it this time. Warforged takes it. So, Necrozma, Spectrier, Chien-Pao, which has not hit the field yet, and Spectrier. A U-turn might kill this thing. It's a matter of do I want to take that gamble on it, though. You know what? I'm gonna go do a Wing Beat instead, because I have a feeling it's gonna Earth Power! Okay! Not expecting that. I was expecting him to switch to preserve this thing. So that misread definitely cost me. Because there goes a potential Chien-Pao answer. Unless I can get rid of these rocks. So, on one hand, Landers is no longer an issue. On the other, yep. Spectrier, this is basically a free kill for Spectrier at this point. Ugh. This thing is such a problem. I knew it coming in, and there was very little I really could do. I did the best I could to try to prep for it. But even still... Yeah, this is the case where being banded was actually a bit of a bad... I should have just bullet punched. I really should have just bullet punched. I had no reason not to. I had absolutely no reason not to bullet punch. No reason at all not to bullet punch, and yet I decided not to bullet punch anyway. I don't even know what I was afraid. Definitely got a little too cute there, and it's probably cost me, but I mean, it's 3-3, so it's not the worst scenario in the world. We're going to send Wrath back out. There's also a case where... maybe putting Ice Shard on Mamo, even despite the Scarf, should have been an option just for this thing specifically. Still, I'm going to crunch. Because I should still be able to take a Shadow Ball from this thing, even at +1 because I'm AV. Yup. So we get that off. Wrath gets the crunch off, which does not kill. Yep, I'm pretty sure the Spectrier sweeps me from here. Because of course it's going to. Of course it is going to. Times like this, I miss having Ditto on the team. That is a definite GG. Yeah, hate to see it. GG, Hopeless. There is a definite reason why you won the BBR Summer Scramble, because you picked a really good team. I had no answers for it. And here is Spectrier just kicking my teeth in, because that is what Spectrier does. It is what it is. I had a feeling this was going to happen. I had a feeling I wasn't going to get lucky with potential matchup shakeups 2 weeks in a row. That really, in the grand scheme of it, it all comes back to that bullet punch misplay with Scissor. That I don't even know what I was trying to overpredict on that one, honestly. I had literally zero reason not to bullet punch. Because... Okay, I want to run the calcs quick. Because Lando would have died. Spectre would have taken a huge chunk, which would have actually put it in range for that Gyarados crunch to KO. Necrozma would have taken some chip, which... I mean, dual wing beat would have done more, but even still, two bullet punches would have taken a huge chunk out of Necrozma. Absolutely no reason for me not to have made that switch. And Chien-Pao would have just straight up died. But it is what it is. I knew it was going to happen eventually. But we're still 2-1. We're still not in a bad spot. So this matchup definitely gives me some time to reflect, maybe see what I could be done if this matchup happens again down the line in playoffs maybe. And we will figure something out and hopefully try to bounce back next week. So, thank you guys so very much for watching. I have been Ruppy, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.